Summer's here, and Nordstrom has everything you need for your best dress season ever. From beach days and weddings to weekend getaways and your everyday wardrobe. Discover stylish options under $100 from tons of your favorite brands like Mango, Skims, Princess Polly, and Madewell. It's easy too with free shipping and free returns, in-store order pickup, and more. Shop today in stores, online at Nordstrom.com, or download the Nordstrom app.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want is a great feeling. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Today, I'm talking about something that every parent has strong feelings about, and that's summer travel with kids. Whether your child is off to sleepaway camp for the very first time, or you're trying to plan a family vacation that hopefully won't end in your tears, your child's tears, and definitely there's going to be some sunburn or bug bites, I'm here to walk you through my pediatrician-approved playbook for summer trips. We're talking about how to get ready, what to pack, how to handle homesickness and airplane meltdowns, and how to make sure everyone, even you, has a little bit of fun. Plus, I'm going to share some golden tips from all of you, my Instagram followers, and my parent friends who have seen it all. I've got recommendations for sticker books and activity books, a diaper trick for international flights, and yes, a terrible tale of bed bugs in Spain. That's what's next. I'm Dr. Wendy Hunter, and I'm the pediatrician next door. I'm that doctor friend you call for practical advice about your kids' health. I mix the science of medicine with the reality of parenting. Let's start with summer camp. I know about this because not only was I a camper and a parent who sent my kids to sleepaway camp starting at age 5, but I was also a camp doctor for several years. So I know what it feels like from every angle. For a lot of families, sending a child to camp is a mix of pride, excitement, and maybe a little low-grade terror. Like you're wondering, are they even going to change their underwear? My nephew, for example, he came home with 7 pairs of clean underwear. Yes, this is a real concern. He did not change his underwear once. I worried myself about whether my kids would make friends. And of course, I was worried that they might cry and want to come home. But here's the good news. Summer camp is a fantastic place for kids to build independence. I saw it firsthand. Parents dropped their kids off. I worked in the health center. There were some tears, but they got over it really fast. In fact, research also shows that kids who go to summer camp come back with better social skills, more self-confidence, and more appreciation for their family. Yeah, you heard that right. And I'll add one more thing. I remember my kids came home with great help out skills. So for example, one of the rules at camp was that everyone had to clean their plate at the end of dinner, and my son just kept doing it after he came home. He would clear all the plates on the table. All right, let's move on. What should you do before they leave? I want you to start with a trial separation. If your child has never, ever been away from you on an overnight, do not start with a week-long camp. They are going to freak out about it. You can try a sleepover with their grandparents or a cousin or a close friend. That can build confidence and give your kids a sense of what being on their own is going to feel like. But they'll have a little bit of a safety net because you're nearby. Next tip, talk with your child through the day-to-day activities at camp. Tell them what they can expect. Kids do best when they know what's coming. They like to be prepared. So walk them through a basic camp schedule. Something like, in the morning, you're going to have breakfast with your bunk. Then you're going to head to swimming or archery or crafts or whatever your activity is. And then after lunch, there will be a rest time, and then more activities until dinner and maybe a campfire. You see, predictability helps ease kids' nerves. Next tip, let your child help you pack. This sounds simple, but it's a huge thing for kids. It gives them a sense of control. So let your child choose which pajamas they want to bring. You might pack the nerdy ones and they'll be embarrassed. They want to pick their own ones. Help them pick books to take and maybe a comfort item like a stuffed animal. They also might be embarrassed by their stuffed animal, so they may want to choose that too. For younger kids, they'll definitely want to bring their stuffy or lovey or a blanket. But for tweens, maybe they want to bring a favorite hoodie or a photo of the family. That might make them feel a little more comfortable. I was really careful to show my son where everything was packed in his trunk and what he had packed because he needed to know that he, in fact, did have underwear for every day, for example. And I gave him stationery so he could write a letter home, and I wanted to make sure he knew where that was. Lastly, you should expect homesickness. And you can plan ahead by making it feel normal before it happens. This is a big one. Homesickness is totally normal. Most kids are going to feel it at some point, even the most independent kids. So I always tell parents, don't try to prevent it. Just prepare your child for how they might feel and what they can do about it. Let your child know that missing home doesn't mean there's something wrong with them. You can just say, feeling a little homesick means you love your family, but it doesn't mean you're not going to have fun too. It's really sweet, but my son, he's going off to college this fall, and he told me that he does expect to be a little homesick. He knows it because he's been to summer camp and he knows how it feels, and he's ready to deal with it. Okay, what if your child writes home and says, I hate it here, or I want to come home? That is not your cue to jump in the car and go rescue them. I know you're going to be tempted, but camps are professionals at handling this. It's basically the most common thing they do, besides, like sing camp songs. Most kids push right through their homesickness and they end up having an amazing time once they adjust. So you also need to expect homesickness and just let it go. Camps will absolutely call you if there is a real concern. If they don't call you, it's safe to give your child space to build their resilience and be proud of yourself for doing it. Honestly, this is one of the best life skills that camp gives to kids. They learn that they can do hard things. That being said, don't forget to do all your medical preparation because that can be a little anxiety-provoking when your kid's away from you. As a pediatrician, I recommend that you make sure that you send clear, written instructions if your child does need to take medication or has specific health needs. Remember, label everything and make sure your child knows how to speak up if they need help, especially if they have allergies, asthma, or anxiety. I had one kid, he was at the main camp and then he went down to an off-camp site for an overnight. He knew he was allergic to walnuts, yet he ate a banana walnut muffin and then didn't tell anybody when he started having itching of his tongue until he started having hives and throwing up. And then the camp came and got me. Okay, that's enough about summer camp. Let me know how it goes, okay? Now, let's shift to family vacations. Those are the magical weeks when you're supposed to relax and connect and make memories with your family, but also you somehow have to get everyone packed and fed and entertained constantly without losing your own sanity. So let me just say, it is normal to wonder if the effort is worth it. My friend Melissa from North Carolina, she shared something that I think so many parents need to hear. Here's what she said. She said, we avoided family travel when our kids were little because it felt overwhelming. But every time we actually went, it was better than we expected. Now, my kids are great travelers, and I wish we had broken the seal earlier. Okay, so she has 3 children. So that idea of breaking the seal, that really stuck with me. That means you don't have to fly to Iceland or backpack through Asia. Start small. Do one night away with your kids or a weekend road trip. These early experiences help kids build the skills they need to be flexible, adventurous, and eventually to be your really fun travel buddies. They need to know how to pack their own backpack and carry it around, and maybe not forget the water. All right, let's talk strategy. How can you survive long travel days? Travel days really can make or break your trip. First, consider packing a go bag. This is actually more important than your actual luggage. If you forget that, you can replace it, but you need a go bag. This is your emergency kit of snacks, wipes, extra clothes, and a bunch of activities. For kids, snacks are basically their coping mechanism. So I hate to say this, but just bring a mix of healthy and fun snacks. So think things like string cheese, because it takes a while to peel it, granola bars, fruit, pretzels. Aim for things that are not particularly messy, and try to choose things that have a fun shape that might take them a long time to eat, because this is almost an activity. All right, here is a pro tip from a genius mom who messaged me on Instagram. She said, even if your toddler is potty trained during the daytime, you should still put them in a diaper for any long flights or international flights. And she said, you never know when your child's going to fall asleep or for how long. And you do not want to deal with wet pants, disinfecting, or wrestling a half-asleep kid into a change of clothes while the plane is descending. It's just impossible. All right, lastly, plan for lots of entertainment during travel, but try to keep it low tech. So one follower shared, she brings painter's tape. I guess there's a lot you can do with that. Coloring books, sticker books, and she has this homemade game called Search Party. I'd never heard of this, so I'm going to assume it's homemade. Here's how it works. One kid closes their eyes, and the other child hides a figure inside a ball of Play-Doh, and then they hand it over to the first kid, and they have to squish it and dig around and try to guess which figure is inside it. Apparently, this game is great because there's minimal mess, there are no batteries, doesn't make a lot of sound, and there's lots of laughing. So, full win. Now, let's talk about how to plan a trip that actually matches your child's stage of development. Because a dream vacation for you could be a total disaster for a toddler or for your very bored, eye-rolling 14-year-old teen. So for toddlers and preschoolers, you got to keep trips simple. Only plan one activity per day, and morning is going to be your golden time. So at that time, do, the zoo, aquarium, a splash pad, and then save the afternoon for naps and maybe some quiet play. And then always, 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 with toddlers and preschoolers, plan meals around their usual schedule if you can, because there is a math equation here. Hangry plus overstimulated definitely equals meltdown in everyone's book, and that is no fun. For elementary school kids, so a little bit older, these are curious and energetic kids who probably don't need a nap anymore. So look for interactive exhibits, science museums, junior ranger programs at national parks are fantastic. And let these kids pack their own backpack and carry something like a camera or a journal, because that gives them a new sense of responsibility. For tweens and teens, you need to let them have a say in what you're doing. One of the best ways to reduce eye rolling is to involve them in planning. Let them choose the restaurant or pick a music playlist or create the music playlist. They can map out walking routes, and they can handle more adventurous trips like, kayaking, bike tours, or even visiting a city and going to museums and eating cool street food. Next up, I'm going to talk about how to manage all the problems that can happen when you travel.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passions. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and fast free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
At Capella University, you can learn at your own pace with our FlexPath learning format. Take 1 or 2 courses at a time and complete as many as you can in a 12-week billing session. With FlexPath, you can finish the bachelor's degree you started in 19 months and under $19,000. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu. Fastest 25% of students. Cost varies by pace, transfer credits, and other factors. Fees apply.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Family vacations are a great time to reconnect. It gives you a chance to get to know your kids better. It gives them time to know you and their siblings better. There's nothing like sharing a bad experience or sharing a great experience to bond you. You know, those are the things that memories are made of. That's how you build a family culture and inside jokes, right? Here are a few of my favorite ways that you can prevent sibling fighting and prevent airport meltdowns. So first, I recommend that with any age kid, or all the ages of kids, that you assign everyone a role. Seriously, one kid manages snacks, another one is in charge of the music playlist. You got to let kids feel useful, and that will definitely reduce the power struggles between them and with you. Next, you need to build in downtime. Even just 20 minutes of screen-free rest time in the hotel can reset anybody's grumpy mood. You don't have to fill every minute of every hour with activities when you're on vacation. Remember, it's vacation. So build in some rest time into the plan. And next, I recommend that you stick to any familiar routines that you have at home. As much as possible, try to keep bedtime and wake time consistent. That's really important. Try bringing a white noise app or a familiar pillow or a bedtime book that your kids always use. It helps them wind down. And if you always have pizza on Friday, have pizza on Friday on vacation too. And of course, I wouldn't be a pediatrician if I didn't talk about health and safety on your trip, because nothing derails a beach day or a hike faster than a sunburn, bug bites, a migraine, motion sickness, any of those things. So let's start with the sun. You want to bring along with you sunscreens that have an SPF of 30 or higher, because you'll need to apply very often. The higher the SPF, the less often you have to apply. So if kids are swimming or sweating, you'll need to apply very often, like every hour or two. And here's a little bonus parenting win. You can let your kids apply it themselves. It teaches them good habits. And hey, it means you're not chasing them down with a bottle of sunscreen. So there you go. And rash guards, of course. Bring your rash guards. They're way easier than trying to slather sunscreen on your 5-year-old. What about hydration? This is one of the biggest culprits that I personally see in my clinic for causing cranky, irritable, headachy kids when they're on vacation. I work in a beach town. I get lots of kids coming in who are visiting from out of town, and I do see some kids with dehydration. It creeps up fast, especially when it's hot or if it's at a high altitude. So bring water, bring water, bring water. Skip the sugary drinks and toss a couple of water bottles in the freezer before you head out. They'll stay colder longer for beach days or for hikes. Or consider getting each kid their own Camelback to carry their own bladder of water. You can always add frozen fruit to their drink cups or flavor drops if you think it's going to make your child drink more. And yes, please pack a little first aid kit, nothing fancy, but you do need the basics so you're not scrambling to go to a drugstore. Make sure you bring some fever or pain reliever like Tylenol or ibuprofen. A lot of people forget to bring a thermometer, and that can be useful. Definitely bring some Band-Aids and some antiseptic wipes. And of course, remember your kids' daily meds and bring a backup inhaler or EpiPen if they need that. What about motion sickness? Okay, if you've ever had a kid throw up on a plane, or worse, in a rental car with cloth seats. Actually, I had one of my Girl Scouts vomit in the front seat of my truck on a camping trip. That was gross. You don't want to wing it when this happens. So if you know your child is prone to motion sickness, you can try children's Dramamine or even ginger chews if your child is old enough. They might want to try that. But don't wait until they're pale and sweaty and saying, I don't feel so good. You want to get ahead of it, because prevention is absolutely everything when it comes to keeping kids healthy and everyone happy when it comes to vacation. All right, I've got one bummer vacation story to share. This is from one of my families who gave me permission. They booked a vacation rental in Spain. I know they were looking forward to it. It looked beautiful, but within just 2 days of arrival, their son was absolutely covered in this weird rash, which turned out to be bed bug bites. It was horrific. He was absolutely covered head to toe. They had to wash everything, get rid of his clothes. They ended up leaving the trip because he was so miserable from the bites. The good news is that they did get a full refund, but the lesson is check your bed, pull back the sheets, look at the seams of the mattress for tiny black dots or for some bugs, and take photos if you can. If something feels off, do something about it. Your health and your sanity and your vacation are more important than powering through an uncomfortable situation. So that was their horror story. But the other thing I see that makes families want to give up and come home is when their kids won't sleep. So a lot of you have asked me about melatonin. Is it safe? Does it work for kids? When should you give it? And the short answer is yes, melatonin can be safe and very effective for young kids who are struggling with time change, but it's not something that you want to give casually or every night. What is melatonin? It's a hormone that's made in your brain. Specifically, it's made by the pineal gland, and it's released into your cerebrospinal fluid when it gets dark outside. So think of it as your body's way to say, it's bedtime. When your eyes detect less light, like in the evening, your brain says, let's wind down by releasing melatonin. And the trouble with travel, especially when you change time zones, is that your child's internal clock, which releases melatonin, and the external clock on the wall are suddenly out of sync. And that's when melatonin can help, but you have to use it the right way. So let me give you an example. If you're traveling from California to Hawaii, like one of my patients just did, there's a 2-hour time difference. So Hawaii is 2 hours earlier. If your child usually goes to bed at 7:30, they're going to be tired at 5:30 Hawaiian time. In that case, you're probably not going to need melatonin at all, but I'll give you another warning. They are going to be tired early. And beware, don't miss their window of sleepiness, or you might end up with a child who is overtired, overstimulated, and running around. Hard to put to bed, right? In this case, the big challenge might come when you get back home and you need to push bedtime later again. And that's when melatonin can help reset the clock. So how do you do it? For jet lag, you want to give melatonin maybe 30 minutes before their new bedtime. If you're trying to shift your child's entire sleep schedule, like training their brain to fall asleep earlier, then you want to give it more like 2 hours before bedtime. And that helps move their internal clock. Here's something super important. Melatonin peaks in the bloodstream about an hour after you give it, depending on the dose. So plan ahead. In terms of the dose, I recommend for preschoolers, 1 or 2 milligrams. For school-aged kids, 2 or 3 milligrams, depending on what you can find. And for teenagers, I would do maybe 5 milligrams. And for most healthy kids, you're not going to use melatonin on a daily basis because it can cause mild daytime sleepiness. It can help kids fall asleep faster, though. It doesn't actually help them stay asleep. That said, for kids with autism or ADHD, melatonin can be really helpful when they use it every day, and they might need higher doses, up to 10 milligrams, but that should really be under the guidance of your pediatrician or a specialist. Here's the thing that makes me uneasy as a pediatrician about melatonin. These supplements aren't regulated by anyone, and that means that what's on the label is not necessarily what's actually in the bottle. There was a study in 2017 published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine and looked at 31 different products that contained melatonin. And they found that melatonin varied from having 83% less than the bottle said to the pills having 480% more than what the label claimed. One supplement, for example, said it had 1.5 milligrams of melatonin, but it actually had 9 milligrams. Even worse, some of the samples contained other substances, which can be dangerous. So what does this mean to you? Look for products that have the fewest possible ingredients. You want to just see melatonin and a filler on the label. And most importantly, look for ones that are third-party tested, something like USP, which is United States Pharmacopoeia. That will be on the label. A great source to find a good product is qualitysupplements.org. That's quality-supplements.org. And that's where you can check for verified brands. Here are some I recommend. Nature Made brand. They have a 3 milligram or a 5 milligram tablet. And the other one is Natrol, Natrol. They have a 5 milligram fast dissolving, and they can be broken in half to make a smaller dose. So please don't mix this with other medications. Do not use Benadryl, please, please, please. That does not help a child on a flight, and it can backfire in a big way. Benadryl, which is diphenhydramine, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it makes adults drowsy. But in young kids, it can do the opposite. They can become hyperactive and restless, and this medication can be dangerous. Also note, other antihistamines like Zyrtec and Claritin, they do not cause drowsiness, so there's no point to using those. So here's the bottom line. Melatonin can be useful. It can help reset your child's internal clock after a time zone change, but you want to use it sparingly and only when you need it, like the first night or two after a big time change. You want to stick to low doses, so don't use it long term, and always buy it from a trusted source. So if you use this thoughtfully, melatonin can absolutely help smooth out your bumpy transition after travel, but it's not magic. It's not a substitute for having really good sleep habits, dimming the lights, and like I always say, having a predictable bedtime routine. So after all of that, is travel with kids relaxing? Probably not. Is it worth it? Absolutely. It's not about perfection. Remember that. It's about the moments that you have, the memories you take, the new foods, the airport escalators, the hotel pool, the remember I got sunburned and you made me wear a hat, those kinds of stories. Those are the things that kids carry with them. It doesn't have to be a perfect itinerary. It's just about how the trip made them feel. So don't be afraid to go, even when it feels messy. Because just like two of my patients, yes, this is a shout out to Everett and Merrick, they said when they saw me at the airport on Instagram, I had a little video, they said they wanted to travel with me. And that's the highest compliment a kid can give, right? If this episode gave you any good ideas or just made you feel seen, please share it with a friend and hit follow so you don't miss what's next. Until next time, stay hydrated, pack the Play-Doh, and don't forget your sunscreen. For more from the Pediatrician Next Door, find me on the web at pediatriciannextdoorpodcast.com. If you've got a question about the weird things kids do, send an email to hello@pediatriciannextdoorpodcast.com for a chance to hear your voice on the show. I'm Dr. Wendy Hunter, and I'm the Pediatrician Next Door. This show is produced by Red Rock Music. Make sure to subscribe and leave a review wherever it is you're listening. I'll be back next time with more.